Alright guys, this is my 2007 Honda Shadow Spirit 750, and as you can see, well, you may not be able to see, the paint is extremely faded. I mean, under the seat, even under the seat is kind of faded, guys. So we're going to take off the body paneling. We already took the sides off, and we're going to take off the rear fender, front fender, and the gas tank, and we are going to start sanding this down because we have our paint. We're waiting on the clear coat, and I have to go order some primer. Got the rear fender off, and I must say she looks kind of sick, man, with the rear fender off of this thing and the pipes. But now we just have to get off the gas tank and the front fender, and we can start sanding, getting this clear coat off. Take the speedometer off of there too. All right, coming along nicely. Got the gas tank off. Just gotta get the front fender off, and then we're ready to start sanding this thing down, man. Guys, got everything off. Gas tank, side covers, front fender, and rear fender. Now we're gonna sand this stuff down and get it ready for the primer. Just wipe down and get a clean surface here. Before we start sanding this stuff down. like it tolls. Electric sprayer, 1,000 watts. Try this out. It's already mixed. That when we have these. Hopefully this is mixed enough. Let's go ahead and get our primer going. Let's set this away. Move this gas tape further over there so we don't leak anything, right? Let's go ahead and do our pour. That should be more than enough to spray, but we're gonna find out, guys. We're gonna test on the back side. Figure out our spray pattern. And we might just test it on the table. Alright. Get our plug plugged in. We'll start off with the paint. Alright, so everything mixed up. We're gonna go ahead and test out the sprayer first before we start spraying. That's spraying a lot. I can see we're hitting angles. So we're gonna have to spray this flat. So let's see here. Alright guys. It's spraying hardcore, guys. So I think we gotta do something here to limit the spray. So let's see. This is spraying hardcore, guys. So I think we're going to switch to the number 1. 1.5 is too much. So we're going to switch to the 1.0 nozzle. Is a lot. That on there. This one there. Alright. 1.5 is too much. We're obviously going to have to wet sand that down. Let's try it again. This feels a lot better. Let's try it. It feels a lot better, guys. Yeah, 1.0 feels much better. So I'm gonna let these dry out. Now we're gonna spray that one over. Damn, that was my fault. Spray it again. Hopefully that don't mess up. But we do have sanding paper there. Definitely not doing the best with this. But I'm noticing with the gun, you have to keep it level. You can't aim down. You have to keep the gun like this. Spraying that paint out hardcore, man. Hopefully this paint levels itself out. It is. I got this thing all the way low, but we're going to put the stop all the way out. This side. Actually seems like it's spraying better now. This is going to be the hard part. Spraying the top. We're going to use, that part's going to be underneath. The bugs are coming. It's my luck, right? definitely gonna have some wet sanding to do. Last but not least, guys, that gas tank. Low. We need to prop up this tank. Fucking bugs. As soon as I start spraying the primer. As soon as I started spraying the primer, man. So we opened the fan up on the paint sprayer, and it looks better. But it's hard for me to, you can't angle this thing unless you have it completely full. Maybe there was a way to angle the straw forward. If the straw is angled to the back, yes. Alright, let's try that. The little straw thing is angled to the back, now we should be better. Actually, guys, this is actually looking a lot better. Open the sprayer up a little bit more. So we got it figured out. Open the fan all the way out and use a 0.1 nozzle. Fortunately, we're gonna have to leave the tank out on the table, man. We don't have any space. Try this again. So after our little experimentation with the paint gun, we're gonna lightly sand the primer and get a second coat of primer. Now that we got the paint gun figured out, we used the 1.0 nozzle with the fan spray wide open, and we have the trigger limited so it doesn't spray a lot of airflow out, and it seems to leave a nice output in that way. So just lightly sanding this primer surface, and we're going to lay down another coat of primer on top of this. After we lay down the second coat of primer, we'll go ahead and start with the paint, laying probably 2 or 3 coats of paint. And then after we do that, we'll lay 2 or 3 coats of clear coat, and that'll be that as far as the painting phase of it. And after that, that's when we'll start buffing and polishing and all that good stuff. So there's that. Looks pretty good. Grab some towels here. I don't want to put the paper towels on the ground. Just get us a nice little surface, and we'll spray our second coat of primer on here. But first we're gonna sand each one of the pieces first before we add our second stage. That way it's a more smooth and linear progression. Alright. And as it started to get dark out, the bugs did start to land on the paint. So I hope that doesn't happen again today. We are in the backyard, and bugs seem to be attracted to white. You can feel the roughness of it. I mean, I had to touch it a few times because it was falling out of my hands, but I found a good place to hold it now, this tab here. So on the Honda Shadow, at least for the side pieces, you can hold it on that tab so that you don't have to touch the paint. we're just lightly wet sanding this with a 120. But it looks phenomenal, honestly, guys. I don't think it looks too bad. Considering, literally, I've never used this paint gun before. And we're just figuring it out. I believe this was the first piece here before I switched to nozzle. I had a 1.5 nozzle on at first, and it was spraying that paint out hardcore, man. So the 1.0 nozzle definitely works a lot better because this paint is very fluid. It's not a thick paint like a house paint. I think a house paint could use those wider nozzles. But yeah, I do believe you probably could spray a whole car using this gun just because of how much output you're able to get if you want it. This piece wasn't the best, as you can see. I didn't even get that corner there. So don't worry, we'll get it figured out. I feel like I spent the most time on the gas tank, which is to be expected considering it has the most curves and it's the largest surface. Gotta get this bug out of here, couple of bugs. When I started spraying this, it was getting towards the end of the day. I believe it was like 8 o'clock, 7:30, 8 o'clock, so it was just before sundown. And those bugs were hardcore attacking this stuff. I mean, as soon as I put the paint down, they were on it. So just a light little wet sanding. Wish I had one of those rotating wheels. You know, just painting it while it rotated. I did notice the bottom end of this fender I believe that might have been where I was holding that, so we'll have to figure out. We'll probably just hold this from the front. Most of this will be under the seat, honestly, guys. A little wet sand. Just to scuff that surface back up, but I feel like this laid down pretty good for a first coat. Damn. One of my pieces just fell off of my makeshift rack. Made sure to wear our gloves this time so there's no fingerprints. Yeah. Yeah. I have good feeling about this. Yeah, bugs are landing on this thing again. So we're going to go ahead and start on the gas tank. Shit. Came unplugged. There we are. First we'll undo the bottle. Make sure it's not. Yeah, it looks good. I just wanted to make sure it wasn't like hardening up or puddling up in there. Go ahead and pour the rest of our primer, which I don't think we need the full thing, but we're going to do it anyways. Ooh, great. There's like gunky stuff at the bottom here. I hope this doesn't like spatter out onto the product. So we'll get that in there and we'll swish it around real good. There was a little bit of gunk at the bottom of this paint can, or primer can. So we'll get it into our jug and we'll make sure we mix it pretty good before we start spraying. I believe that's going to be about as good as we're going to get. Mix it with our pry bar. I have a feeling this pry bar is going to be our mixer. I think this stuff sprays at so much force that it will atomize trying to come through this gun. Alrighty. Go ahead and start spraying. Starting with the gas tank, since it's the biggest and most harsh piece. Ahead and there's a little bit of water on there. Let's get the water off so we don't have any water droplets. We're just going to go for a light coat and move on to the next one. Tangled up in the cord. Seems pretty good. Move on to our next piece. Move our gas tank out of the way here, and we'll start priming the next piece. Leave our trusty gas tank under the table. Coming out nicely, guys. That's good. And we'll grip it carefully. Go ahead and get this going. The bugs are coming, dude. They are coming for it. That is good. This thing's laying down so much better now that I know how to use it. Let's see, we kind of want those propped up. We'll put a can under this one. So we kind of want these propped up to spray. And these are our last two pieces, so we can go crazy on these. Looks to be good. There's still a little bit left in here, but we don't have anything else to primer. Finish off this, put our paint thinner through there, clear it out, and then we'll start with the red. put the paint thinner in there, swished it around inside the jug, sprayed it, and it caused the paint to thicken up or become elastic. So we rinsed that out twice with paint thinner, the jug, and then we put water in here, and we're just spraying water. Ready to start this stage 2 color coat, duplicate paint shot finish system. 32 fluid ounces, 1 quart. We're going to start by mixing this up really good. I don't feel any sludge at the bottom. I can see the metallic flakes in there. It looks about as fluid as water, man. Well, I hope we didn't get scammed on this. We did get this off of Amazon, and people are known to use things and return them. I think we're just going to go ahead and go with the full quart. Why BS around? Try to get the rest of our little stuff out of here. Kind of like how we did the primer. And I think that's going to be it. So put the full quart in. Probably start with our small pieces, which are going to be these two. Probably what we should have been doing from the start, huh? And we'll go ahead and start our painting. Hopefully it lays down as good as the primer did. Full fan. We'll start off on the table. Oh. Make sure we're not plugged on the nozzle. The last remaining bit of that primer might have been on there. Pocket. All right, so we had a little bit of remaining primer in the system. Let's test it out on the table. Looks good to me, guys. Looks good to me. We'll spread these out one on each square, and we'll go ahead and get this started. spraying out thick now. Call that good. We'll set these pieces off to the side and we'll start on our other pieces. Grab them by the clips. Rust vibe, then a red vibe. Wind is coming this way, so we're going to spin this. Oop. That way the wind is blowing with the paint flow. Make sure we're not plugged up because it seems like it's coming out pretty slow. It seems like it's laying out dry, which I mean, it's still workable. Let's see. There we go. I can kind of see the metal flakes on it. Go ahead and move that to the side. And spin that around. Last but not least, that gas tank. Give it a full fan. Still got about half left on the paint. Let's go ahead and get this down. Our first pieces. Our second coat. We'll go ahead and find our tabs here to lift by. There's a little bit of, we still got half left, so I don't know if we want to put that other half back into the paint or just keep going. And we got something in here. I feel like we'll just keep going, man. I can barely see the flakes. Maybe it'll come out with the clear coat. These little lint things keep falling into the paint. Alright, about time to start our final process, which is the clear coat. And I'm not going to be switching the pieces around. I'm going to spray the gas tank on camera, and I'll spray the other pieces off camera so I don't have to touch or move them. We add a little bit of sprinkles / flakes into our clear, just a little bit, and we're going to spray this out. Ooh, comes out like water, guys. They're in there, and it's about as fine as water. So I would say they're all about the same consistency. Fix our throttle. It's about right there. And give it a full fan. Let's go. You can tell that clear. Let's spray our other pieces off the can. That's it. Well, almost it. Guess I gotta fan this out more. Feel like we got plugged up again. We didn't even get through it. I believe that's about all we need, man. Alright guys, and that's gonna be it. Electric paint job on the motorcycle. Not half bad. This isn't the color that I was expecting. This color reminds me more of rust than anything. we kind of went hard on the clear on the tail, and it does feel a little rough, so we are going to buff and get that smooth finish on the end. So I don't think it's ready for a buff yet, guys. So we've had this sitting for a couple of hours, and I don't have any 2 to 5,000 grit sandpaper, but I feel like that could get it smoothed out. But I feel like we might try to buff this just to see how it turns out with a buff job. So we might put this all back on the motorcycle and then buff this another day. All right, guys. This is the finished product. I didn't buff it out or anything like that. So I'm sure with the buff job we can get a better shine on this, but so far I'm liking this. Show the front fender too. You see the little sparkles I added in there.